everybody. Welcome to another story from Hucks, Holler. We're down here along the Ohio River, here in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. Beautiful mural on the wall. We've been finding out a lot of things about this Mothman the last few weeks, especially today. There's a lot more to this than people realize. This thing goes back in time, back in the past, a lot farther than people believe it does. We're talking back in the time of the Indians, Native Americans, and the people, the white people fighting right after the Revolutionary War. The British offered the Native American tribes rifles for scalps from the American troops. Now, a rifle back then was a big deal. That meant you could kill game farther. You could kill a lot more of it. You didn't have to rely on a bow and arrow or a spear. But as time come along, things wore thin with the Native Americans and the people that settled this country. And there was a great battle here in Point Pleasant. Many, many Indians, many white people. This battle went on for days. I believe it was over a week. A lot of people were killed and maimed. The tribes backed off, went back across the river. The settlers, some of them went after them, and then they come back. And then Chief Cornstalk, which was the leader of the Shawnees, wanted to make peace. This was about a year later. Now he come back to Fort Randolph. That was the name of a fort that was around here. And when he come back, he was talking to the leaders of the people and stuff. And they told him, they put him in this building and told him to stay there. Well, unbeknownst to him and the three braves that was with him, one of them was named Red Hawk, and I cannot remember the other one's name. All of a sudden, the doors was kicked open. Chief Cornstalk started towards the door. Just as he got to the entranceway, outside was like 12 men. They all fired at once, and 12 rounds immediately hit him. He died instantly. Chief Red Hawk was shot and killed, trying to escape up through the chimney. Chief Cornstalk's son was killed. Now this is where this thing takes a twist. Chief Cornstalk put a curse right before he died. He lived long enough to curse this area. Now, this happened in 1780, probably, I believe, 79, somewhere in there. By the early 1800s, there had been sightings of a giant bird creature. It was described as a giant bird with a 12-foot wingspan and the head of a man. Now this is back in the early 1800s. This happened all up and down from here clear to Wood County, from here clear to Roane in Calhoun County, which is several miles from here back through the woods. This thing had been seen several times. In World War II, it was seen, people had been chased up and down the road by it on horse in their buggies and stuff. World War II came along. It was sighted several times around here and up the road, the river here, a little place up the road here called Leroy. Then it settled down a little bit, they said, and things sort of mellowed out. And then in the 60s, people started seeing a lot of UFOs around. And then they started seeing what they now call the Mothman. There were several eyewitnesses' accounts.
Hello, my name is Jeff Wamsley, and I am the owner of the world's only Mothman Museum here in Point Pleasant. The Mothman story started back in 1966. A lot of people think it actually started here in Point Pleasant, but there were a couple sightings beforehand in Clendenin, West Virginia and Salem, West Virginia that were related to what people were seeing here later that month. On November 12th, 1966, you had 4 grave diggers digging a grave in Clendenin, West Virginia. It was in the late afternoon, early evening, and they reported that a large winged figure, flew over top of the grave site as they were digging the grave. And last year, there's only one surviving member of that 4. I had a chance to talk to him briefly about what happened and everything, and he did confirm that something did fly over top of the grave site, and pretty fascinating to talk to him. But he's the only one that's still alive. This man, his name was Emil. He was actually down in the grave. The other 3 guys were around the top of the grave, and he heard them yelling, and he got a quick glimpse of it, but he said it was big, brownish in color, and flew right over top of him, landed in some trees. He never told his family about it at all. And the only way that they found out about the museum is his daughter was actually reading my second book that had the newspaper clipping in it about the 4 grave diggers. He had never told anybody in his family since it happened 60 years ago. She saw his name and she went to him and said, "Dad, is this you?" And he said, "Yeah." So that's how that came about. So they're just now finding out about it. Well, November 14th in Salem, West Virginia, which is about 2 hours from Point Pleasant, there was a man named Noel Partridge, retired construction worker, and him and his family sitting around watching TV, 10 o'clock at night. He said the TV started making a weird sound, like a high-pitched, shrill, whizzing noise. The TV screen exploded. The glass in the tube went out into the floor, and his kids kind of, freaked out a little bit there. He said he looked out the back window in his backyard and saw red rotating lights in his backyard. They had a family pet named Bandit. It was a German Shepherd, fairly large dog. But he said as soon as he opened the door to go out back and investigate, the dog shot out the door. They never did find the dog. They searched and searched that evening and all day the next day. Never did find Bandit. So that started to make the newspapers a little bit. And then the night after, here in Point Pleasant, that would have been November 15th, 1966, you had 2 young couples, Steve and Mary Mallett and Roger and Linda Scarberry, riding around on the outskirts of town up near the TNT area, which was an ammunitions depot during World War II. They would go up and drag race and meet up with their friends and things like that. About 11 o'clock, they decided to come back into town. As their car approached a figure in the road, Linda told me she thought it was just a man standing in the road. She said the headlights hit it, and she noticed red eyes. And as they got closer, she said the wings spread out. She said an estimated 10 to 12 foot wingspan, which is a pretty big wingspan. It moved towards the old vacant power plant. She said it hobbled through the grass, went into the North Power Plant. And they were definitely a little surprised. They kind of gathered their thoughts and said, well, let's just go back into town and let some of our friends know or whatever. They had no intentions of calling the sheriff's department or anything. But as they started back down Route 62, whatever it was came over top of their car, followed them all the way almost to the city limits. It veered off into a cornfield. They were racing at probably 90 miles an hour. Roger Scarberry had told me that he was basically holding onto the wheel for dear life because they were going so fast. They went in and told the owner of Tiny's Drive-In what had happened, and he saw how scared and upset they were. He called the sheriff's department. Sheriff's department came, they went back up and looking around, didn't see anything. But that was the beginning of all the over 100 reported sightings here in town between that year and 66, 67. I always estimated there's probably another 200 that never went to the authorities or the police just because they were just scared of being, called crazy and stuff like that.
You can go to the Mothman Museum over here, just across the street, and read a lot of the handwritten statements that they give to the police. And they're pretty interesting reading. Although things have went wrong several times down through the years in this area, I don't know that Mothman was involved in any of it. I mean, it's all hearsay. So, take your stories and take what you want from them, because there's a little truth in every one of them. This one here, this is a good one. You need to read up on this here. So, I hope my story touched a few people, and I hope you have a good evening. And until the next time we meet in Hucks Holler, have a great life.